What's up, everybody, and welcome on back to the episode of the My Side of Things podcast. This is now episode 21. I'm your host, as always, Ash. We got a whole lot of things that the docket to get to today, including talking about some Backlash predictions. We also got to talk about Naomi, talking about how this may be her final run within WWE. How long could this possibly last? We also got to talk about Miss Cora, Jade, and her very interesting tweets that she had this weekend. Also, the fans acting pretty weird with Cora Jade as well. We also got to talk about AEW Dynamite, big Dynamite that happened yesterday. Absolutely amazing Dynamite, one of my favorites of the year so far. But let's go ahead and start things off with Backlash. Before we do get into that, though, if you're listening to this on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at, like, follow, rate, subscribe, share, all that stuff does help out. Notification bells definitely do help out as well, so you get notified of when new episodes do drop. Also, if my audio ever at any point sounds odd or different, I guess, it's because I have my AirPods in. I am using my phone as the camera because it looks really dang good, and I feel like buying a new camera, but my microphone Audacity thing has been messing up over the past few days, so I might have to clip in this audio instead of having my microphone audio, but I'm hoping that it'll be good for at least 99% of this episode. But let's go ahead and start things off, though, with WWE Backlash, which is premiering May 10th. That'll be this Saturday. This episode will be out before Backlash happens, but the matches that we have listed on the card are John Cena versus Randy Orton, Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch, one Jacob Fatu versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight. Then we have Gunther versus Pat McAfee and Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. 4 of the 5 matches are for belts, as John Cena versus Randy Orton will be for the WWE Championship, although I guess the WWE Undisputed Championship. I don't know why they even call it that still, though. It should just be called the WWE Championship. But I do think that this match is going to go how we all expect this match to go. It's either A, going to be a really bad match, or B, John Cena is going to slap the ref. Either way, John Cena is going to be walking out of Backlash either losing but retaining or winning the match. I do not see any world where Randy Orton actually wins this match. I almost forgot my tiny little mic, but I would be surprised if John Cena did lose this match. He literally just got the belt. I was almost going to be shocked if Jey Uso would have lost the belt at Monday Night Raw versus Seth Rollins. My goodness, that was in a hell of a match. That was easily Jey Uso's best match of his career. That match, well, at least best singles match of his career. That match was just absolutely phenomenal. And anybody that says that Jey Uso can't wrestle, he kept up with Seth Rollins, and that just lets you know just how great of a wrestler he is. But I think John Cena's not going to lose this, though. Because, if John Cena did lose this, let's just go on that hypothetical that he did for a second. Who does Randy Orton actually lose the belt to? Is it Drew McIntyre? Is it Cody Rhodes? I think the best option would be Uncle Howdy to kind of call back to the whole Randy Orton-Bray Wyatt feud. But I don't think Randy Orton has really much set up for him to actually win the belt. I think instead he gets a rematch at one Saturday night's main event. It's where John Cena gets the official win. So I do see John Cena losing this match only because of DQ, but he still will retain the WWE Championship. It's going to be very interesting, though, if he is to win this match and it is just a regular clean match and it's just not a good match at all. How are people going to feel going forward? Because a lot of people were hating on this recent match, and a lot of people are hating on Cody Rhodes, not really on John Cena. But if John Cena gives us 2 bad matches in a row and 2 bad main events, because I'm assuming John Cena versus Randy Orton will be the main event since it's in St. Louis, how are people going to start feeling then? And there's no way you're going to believe, or you're going to be able to tell me that John Cena is just, actively having bad matches. Somebody over there at WWE is putting this together to have John Cena have bad matches, and I just don't know who it is, because it can't be Triple H. I don't think Triple H would want to have, a bad wrestling match on his product unless it's just 2 people who just can't wrestle, or they really just want. No, I don't think Triple H would want that by any means, because Triple H used to have NXT hecka lit. There's no way. TKO, I couldn't see them actually wanting a bad match, but then again, they just, re-upped Alberto Del Rio's contract with AAA, so he's not going to be getting bought out, so maybe they would be trying to harm the product, but I just don't get why. Would the reason to harm the product be you really just want the McMahons out of there, even Triple H out of there, and you want to have Rock put in place? I don't get it. I mean, they are trying to run WWE like as if it's UFC, so maybe, but I think John Cena is either winning this match cleanly or he loses this match via DQ. One of the two, but he's going to retain that belt. Now, next up, we have Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the Intercontinental Championship. And I think that this one is probably going to be a multi-match series as well. I could see a world where Bayley does cost Becky Lynch the match by making a return, and then Lyra Valkyria gets some kind of like hit in and then goes for the Nightwing, gets the 1-2-3 on Becky. I do think Lyra retains. I don't think any champion is going to be losing their belt here. The one that probably could is Dominic Mysterio, because it is the IC title. I could see him, only holding it for a month, getting it back, but I think he might hold it for a lot longer than a month. But I don't think any of the champions drop their belts, at least not right now. I think Becky and Lyra, you can really stretch out much further than 1 month. I know they probably would want the belt on when Becky Lynch, but it's like, I don't think Lyra needs to lose the belt yet by any means. Although I'm not mad if Becky Lynch does win the belt, because I could hear everybody crying about how Becky is Becky Hogan, and it just makes me laugh so much, especially when y'all say she should go to AEW, because didn't y'all say that 2023 was AEW's best year? You want Becky Lynch, who is a much bigger star than CM Punk, to go to AEW? Yeah, AEW will be the #1 wrestling promotion in the world without a doubt. But no, I think Lyra Valkyria does retain here. I think they're going to probably have Lyra Valkyria possibly lose at Money in the Bank to Becky Lynch, or they'll have her lose at Saturday Night's Main Event or some like random Raw instead of having her lose at Backlash. I think she does need a first big win my bad. I think she does need her first defense on a PLE to be a win, to kind of like solidify her IC reign. That way we can also solidify the IC title as, a actual title and not something that we gave to the women just because. So I think Lyra Valkyria does get the big win here. Now, next up, we have Jacob Fatu versus Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight for the United States Championship. This is going to be a very interesting match because it looks like they really want to continue the Drew McIntyre-Damian Priest feud. So I'm assuming what will happen is Drew McIntyre Claymore's LA Knight is about to go for the roll-up, but then here comes Damian Priest to hit Drew McIntyre with the South of Heaven's choke slam, and then he's going to go for the roll-up, but then here comes Jacob Fatu for his springboard moonsault, and then he'll get the roll-up on either, I'm assuming, Damian Priest or maybe even LA Knight. Maybe he does one to Damian Priest and does another one to LA Knight, and then he pins him so that LA Knight can get a rematch. And then Damian and Drew kind of go at it, or he does pin Damian Priest, so then him and LA Knight have a one-on-one match at Saturday Night's Main Event. Damian and Drew could continue their feud. It could be one of those two cases. I'm assuming, though, Jacob Fatu wins this match. I think it's like a 99% chance that he does. This probably will be match of the night, if not Lyra versus Becky. I think that match is going to absolutely cook because we've seen Lyra do amazing things against Becky in the past. We've seen that, Becky can have a 5-star match if need be, if she really feels like, reaching deep down into that bag of hers. And I think that's, man, I don't know. I think it's definitely between these two matches. I'm going to go with Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch to have match of the night, only because it's like a 1v1 match. I think like the Fatal 4-Way, it should be great. But it's like I feel like it has much lower expectations than Lyra versus Becky, because we know the Fatal 4-Way will be great. We don't know if Lyra Valkyria versus Becky will be great or not. But speaking of a match that definitely will not be great, Gunther versus Pat McAfee. I think I might have spelled his name McAfee. Whatever. I don't really care about Pat McAfee or McAfee. This match is going to be a squash fest. It's going to be maybe at the very most, I think Pat McAfee gets like one win where he'll get like, some kind of counter to Gunther, go for a big hit. And I think he's going to go for like some top rope move. Gunther would catch him and then just put him into the submission automatically, or he just catches him, turns him around, like throws him up in the air, turns him around into his power bomb, and then maybe throws off like one or two more power bombs just to really, really put down Pat McAfee. Heck, he might not even go for a submission. He might just continue to power bomb Pat McAfee over and over until the ref does call for the bell, and then he just puts him into a submission, and here comes Goldberg, and we get the Goldberg, and then Goldberg and Gunther get into it. Obviously, Goldberg would go over here. We're going to have Gunther running away, but then we're going to be getting Gunther versus Goldberg at likely Saturday Night's Main Event. I hate the fact that we're doing this with Gunther, but Gunther is a really weird year going forward because I don't really know what he does. I don't think he gets into the world title scene, either world title scene. I don't think he gets into the U.S. title picture at all. The IC title is very possible, but are we just going to run the exact same character back with Gunther that we've been doing for like the past, that we did for his past IC title run? I don't really like that. I think we got to find like a new way to go about it, unless we just make Gunther into this real brutal, vicious character by himself, because back then he did have Imperium. I don't really know how we're going to do things. I I think Gunther's probably going to be out of the title scene for a while. There's a very real possibility that he could take some time off after the whole Goldberg feud, and then he comes back around like the later half of 2025, so that he can feud with one Ilya Dragunov. Maybe it's very possible that Ilya Dragunov gets the IC title from either Dominic Mysterio or Penta, whoever has it, in a few months, and then we get Ilya Dragunov versus Gunther, first big feud for Ilya Dragunov. Gets about 3 matches, because I think we can need 3 matches between those two guys. Then we get we have Ilya Dragunov going over. This allows Gunther to get into the Royal Rumble. And maybe Gunther wins the Royal Rumble and gets to go after one of the world titles. Maybe Cody wins the title from either a Seth Rollins or a John Cena, and then Gunther goes after Cody Rhodes, because obviously be face versus heel then. Or we just have Gunther, I don't know, doing something. Maybe he gets the U.S. title from Jacob Fatu. That could always happen. I think he'd be able to. I think that they would want to make Gunther a Grand Slam champion probably as quickly as possible, only because he's not going to be around that long. He is already like 38 years old. He has like a good amount of years left, but I don't think Gunther's going to want to wrestle until he's like 45, 46, 47. I think Gunther's probably, he looks like one of those guys that might want to retire early, in my opinion. So yeah, Gunther has a very interesting year going forward, and he has a really odd start to it by facing Pat McAfee and then eventually Goldberg. Now, for the last match, we have Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. I don't know why we're getting this match again when we've already gotten it before. I understand that like there was interference last time, but it's like, I don't think we needed Dominic Mysterio versus Penta here. I would have preferred Dominic Mysterio versus, well, I guess the other guy would have been Finn Balor. We're not going to do Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor yet. I would have preferred really this match just to not be here. I don't think this match needed to be at Backlash. I understand it's Dominic Mysterio, so you want to put him on the card. This should have been like next Monday Night Raw's main event, in my opinion, or even like the following Monday Night Raw, one of the two. I don't think this needed to happen at Backlash by any means, but I do see Dominic Mysterio most likely winning unless Finn Balor does get involved and cost Dom, but I don't think that'd be smart for Dom. Also, wait, didn't they literally already announce? Oh, no, never mind. No, AJ Styles said whoever is holding the belt. Yeah, I don't think that'd be smart for not Dom. I mean, Finn. That wouldn't be smart for Finn, because wouldn't you want to take the belt from Dominic Mysterio, not just face Dominic Mysterio in like a regular schmegula, just heated rivalry? That doesn't really make much sense to me. So I think Finn Balor is going to help Dominic Mysterio once again. They're going to kind of do it like how they did last year with Judgment Day, where they kept getting involved in all of Damian Priest's matches, and eventually this will turn Dom face. Finn will continue to be a heel. He might get the IC title from Dominic Mysterio. Maybe then Ilya gets it for Finn. Oh my gosh, that match would absolutely cook, I'm telling y'all right now. But I do think Dom retains as well. I think all the champions are going to retain their belts here. Again, Dom is a possibility. I don't think Lyra's a possibility. I think Lyra really, really needs this win. Dominic Mysterio, he needs this win, but I could see them just running the Dom Finn feud without the belt in the line for who knows what reason. Maybe they just don't want to give Finn Balor a dang championship ever again, or at least a singles championship. Now, for the potential matches that we have that could be on the card, that honestly I think any one of these matches could have been over Dom versus Penta. The first biggest one that we have to talk about is Jey Uso versus Logan Paul, because this was basically announced for Backlash and then just scrapped immediately. I don't know if it was my post or the plethora of posts. It was somebody's post. But this match was literally just scrapped. I mean, Logan Paul did attack Jey Uso after the show, which I don't know why now that they're on Netflix doing after Netflix attacks. That was really dumb to me, but maybe we're still getting Jey Uso versus Logan Paul at Backlash. I think it's going to probably happen on a Monday night, though, instead. I just hope that doesn't lead to Logan Paul eventually teaming with... Oh, it could. Yeah, I think... Because one of the other matches I have listed here is Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy. And if we get Jey Uso versus Logan Paul on Monday Night Raw, let's say like this coming Monday Night Raw, and then here comes not Punk and Sammy, here comes Seth and Braun to get involved in the match because they want to try to cost Jey Uso the match because they just feel like, you know, they can get off of Logan Paul even easier. Here comes Punk and Sammy, and then the following Monday Night Raw, we get Punk, Sammy, Jay versus Seth, Braun, and Logan Paul. I just don't want that to lead to Logan Paul joining the Seth Rollins group. I think it would be worse for business. I don't need to see Logan Paul in the group at all. I don't think he fits the group by any means. But I could also see them viewing Logan Paul as the next Randy Orton instead of an Austin Theory. Or not, I guess not the next Randy Orton, but like as a Randy Orton 2.0 kind of guy, which is basically the exact same thing. Oh, man, I could see Logan Paul also winning Money in the Bank this year because apparently a bunch of reports that he might win Money in the Bank. I don't want to see it, but I would not be surprised if the man did. He does not need Money in the Bank, though. This guy needs to actually learn how to wrestle is the biggest thing. So I think Jay versus Logan could get on the card, but I think that'll be a Monday Night Raw match. I think Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy. This could get on the card if it eventually leads to Seth, Braun, Logan Paul versus Punk, Sammy, and Jay, because I could see a world where Seth and Braun go over, and then Punk, Sammy, and Jay go over in the 6-man tag match because maybe Logan Paul gets pinned or something like that to protect both Seth and Braun. I could see either one of these happening, to be honest. I honestly would put Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy on this card instead of Dom and Penta. I think, honestly, of the matches that could be the opener, I think that the best one here is probably Lyra versus Becky, but I would put Lyra versus Becky in like right before Cena versus Orton, and then I would put Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy in the opener. I don't think I'd put so if I'm going Cena Orton as the main event, Lyra Valkyria, Becky Lynch before that, the only match I could really see opening the card is the Fatal 4-Way, but then your next 2 matches, do you really want one of the matches is likely going to end in interference, and the second match is going to likely end, or is going to be a squash match? Like, do you really want the squash match in the middle of the card? Then again, it is Goldberg, so maybe they would want that in the middle of the card. I personally wouldn't want it, but okay. And then the last match, wait, my bad, there's another match. Jade and Naomi could happen at Backlash. I don't think it'll happen, but it's a very real possibility because we do have Jade versus Nia Jax this Friday. Then maybe Naomi gets involved, and then Naomi costs Jade. Naomi costs Jade, Nia gets the win, and then Naomi and Jade have their match at Backlash. Or we get Tiffany and Nia at Backlash, or possibly Tiffany and Jade if Jade does get the win because somebody else gets involved. I don't know what the heck's going to happen here. I just know that I see a world where the women's title could get on the card. I think Jade and Naomi might be saved for a Friday Night SmackDown in the future. So yeah, there is also the possibility though that because Naomi gets involved, or maybe Tiffany gets involved first, and then Naomi gets involved. I don't know. Maybe they both get involved around the same time. Maybe that leads to a Fatal 4-Way, but I don't think we need another Fatal 4-Way at Backlash. We already have one multi-man match. I don't think we need another one. We don't need back-to-back multi-live events. We do not need that at all. It was not good with WrestleMania. So yeah, well, actually those are the good matches. Yeah, those actually were all the good matches. Damn, maybe they should have done more multi-man matches at WrestleMania. My goodness. But I think the most likely match, if it does get on the card, is probably Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy. I think the Women's Fatal 4-Way could be the main event of next Friday Night SmackDown. I think Tiffany versus Nia or Jade could be the main event of next Friday Night SmackDown. I think Jade and Naomi could also be the main event of next Friday Night SmackDown. It could also be the opener as well. I think that's where it would go. If it is Jay versus Logan, obviously Jey Uso's winning that match. If it's Jade versus Naomi, I think Naomi needs this win. She gets the cheap roll up, or some really cheap win. I hate what they're doing with Naomi's character because it was a great heel to start, but now she's just looking like Liv Morgan. I don't like that at all. And now they're probably gonna pair her up with Nia Jax, so it'd be like Liv and Raquel. I definitely don't like that. I wish it would have just gone in the direction of giving, Naomi, Lash Legend, Jakara Jackson. I think they would have been really great to give to Naomi, but I guess not. Seth and Braun versus Punk and Sammy. I think, like I said, Seth and Braun do get the win here. They kind of need the win, especially after Monday Night Raw. And then if it's Tiffany versus Nia or Jade, I could see Tiffany losing to either one of these. I don't think Tiffany beats Nia or Jade. I think the Fatal 4-Way would be the easiest way to get a win. I think if it's a one-on-one versus Nia or Jade, I see Nia or Jade winning this. I would go with probably Nia defeating Jade on Friday Night SmackDown, and then Nia getting her WWE Women's Championship back from Tiffany. There is a world where someone could cost Nia, but I don't think they're going to do that. I would love to see Nia get it back, and then we run Nia versus Charlotte. That would be amazing. We haven't had that match in literal years. I think this would be a great way to kind of run that match back that should have been a lot greater than it actually was. Because, back then it just wasn't that good because Nia wasn't at the level she is now. But y'all go ahead and let me know down below, though, what match of the potential matches would y'all love to see on Backlash if you are on YouTube. If you're anywhere else, just whisper it to me and I will hear it. Also, let me know y'all predictions as well for Backlash. But let's go ahead and talk about Miss Naomi, shall we? Because she did say that this is her final run. She talked about it in an interview where she said, I always wanted kids young. I always wanted a lot. Young girl is getting up there. I'm 37. I'm 37 time. I got to figure this out like yesterday. I'm asking myself and struggling with that question. So I think that this is probably Naomi's final run. I mean, she basically says it is her final run. I don't think she's going to go past her 40s by any means. Obviously, like she said, she does want kids. So I think the best time, especially for women to have them, is before their 40s, not after. That's when a lot of complications start happening and all that. I think Naomi would want to probably have them like yesterday, like she says. I think if Naomi does get a women's championship this year and then she loses it like around WrestleMania time, that'll be it for Naomi. I think she retires. She goes on, maybe not retires, but definitely goes on to have kids, probably is out for the next 2 years. Maybe makes like a little return when she's like 39, 40, like Royal Rumble return, something like women's and match return, like how Trish Stratus just does here and there to help out a woman, be at a PLE or something like that. But I think for the most part, this is probably it for Naomi. I think this final year, all of 2025 and like a good amount of 2026, or at least the first part of 2026, and then that's it for Naomi. I don't think she goes much longer. And honestly, it does suck for Naomi because I feel like her career has kind of always been odd in a sense. Like I feel like she should have had more early on in the Divas run. I feel like she should have gotten some of those Divas championships. You look at some of the women who did get those, and it's just like, you know, there's just a lot of more women that got opportunities than Naomi did. Once Naomi was finally able to break away from the Funkadactyl, she was able to show that she was much more than just a cheerleader, that she was much more than just a actress and all this stuff, or reality star, whatever you want to call her. I think Naomi was definitely starting to show a lot of that. Then around 2018, she got 2 women's championships, 2 of the SmackDown women's championships. Didn't really get great runs with them because she had lost the first one due to injury, and the second one she had lost pretty dang quick as well. And ever since then, she just never got any kind of run. She eventually did get a tag run with Sasha Banks, but we know how that story goes, where Vince McMahon literally told Sasha and Naomi that we have nothing to do with you. And yeah, they just both walked out of the company at that point. She did go get a TNA Knockouts title, so I'm happy for her that she was able to get that. I would just love to see one last big run this year because I think she really does deserve it. And then when she comes back, maybe we get like a little tag team run. Maybe Mercedes will be back in WWE at that point, that we can give Mercedes, who would probably be returning to Sasha Banks, and Naomi like their Boss and Glow run that they should have gotten back in 2022. I feel bad for Naomi, man. I really do, because it's like, you hear Becky Lynch saying that like women should be able to wrestle into their 40s and mid to late 40s, like how a lot of the men are. And Naomi's only 37 years old. She could easily have a kid right now, or like next year, and then take about a year or 2 off to spend time with her kid and all that stuff. Come back and still have like 4 or 5 years, because Naomi doesn't wrestle at like some like crazy style by any means. I think she could easily be within that tag division, be within that mid card division, which I would love to see her get. You know, one of the mid card belts, if not both of the mid card belts, if she does get the WWE Women's Championship, because I believe that is the former Raw Women's Championship. So if she does get both the mid card belts, no, actually, if she gets one mid card belt and the world, if she gets the mid-card belt, she would be a Grand Slam champion. I think she would actually be the first one, because it'd be the women's championship, it'd be the tag team championship, it would be the mid-card championship. No, she would need both the mid-card belts. I would love to see her get both those mid-card belts, potentially be in contention for one of the women to be the Grand Slam, like the first official Grand Slam champion. Now that we have the mid-card belts in play, I think Naomi has done a lot within WWE that has definitely gone, overlooked. In my opinion, she was very big for Total Divas early on. I felt like of the wrestlers there, it was Natalya and it was Naomi who are probably the best wrestlers of that whole Total Divas arc. I really loved her matches against AJ Lee. I loved her matches against Nikki Bella. I think she always performed really well. The fact that she never got that belt, it just never sat right with me. So I would love to see her potentially, if she does ever come back after she has a kid, I would love to see her at least get a run or two with the mid-card, with both of the mid-card belts, or maybe even by then we just combine the mid-card belts, because I don't think we needed 2 mid-card belts, since we don't really even care about the women's division anyways, you know? And speaking of women that we just don't care for, we got to talk about Miss Cora Jade. Now, I don't have the tweet pulled up, sadly, because I could not find it. I can't find it on my phone anywhere, and I'm obviously using my phone for my dang recording, but I'm going to basically give the last part of the tweet, because the last part of the tweet, so this whole thing has to refer to, coming from Dave Meltzer, which take it with a grain of salt, but sometimes he is right. People in WWE were saying that a lot of these releases had to do with folks being lazy. Now, Gigi Dolan, who is now known as Priscilla Kelly, responded with that she's been working her butt off. She'd be in the gym 3 to 4 days a week, yada, yada, all that stuff. And then Cora Jade said, and not to mention the fact that we'd be doing this quote unquote strength and conditioning where a lot of her bosses, or not, a lot of her coaches would just be kind of harming her body more than they actually would be helping it. So that was interesting, that I do want to talk about in a little bit. But the more interesting part was that she said, and then I'll be getting body shamed by a lot of my by my bosses, co-workers, and fans. Now the fans, I'm not surprised. You know, fans, that's what they be doing. They be sick. Right as soon as this whole thing came out, a whole bunch of fans said, oh, look at Cora Jade. Now she's making all these claims. Every time someone leaves, they want to make crazy claims about WWE. Because we still have like that just army of WWE fans that is definitely trying to defend WWE to the absolute core, even though we know exactly how WWE is. If you don't, you're just blind. That's what it is. And I don't mean blind in that way. I mean blind in the sense of like you just don't want to see it. But the coworkers and bosses one is interesting because I believe there's two things going on here with the coworkers. One, this seems very similar to the old WWE where if you were a thicker woman, if you were a bigger woman, you were going to get body shamed by a lot of the women in the locker room because of the fact that you know, it's you had to be a certain size. You had to be skinny mini if you really wanted to be within WWE. Nowadays, it's you got to be a thicker woman. You got to have this, that, and the third. And if you don't have that, you're going to likely get body shamed in the locker room. I think a lot of that might go into play as to why Cora Jade got the little job that she got done. The job that she got done. Goodness gracious, if I could actually speak. And whether she did want to do it or not, I don't know because I'm not Cora Jade. But I do think a lot of it is definitely some of the women. It's very possible there are some of the men there as well, though, body shaming her. But this, to me at least, it feels more so like it's coming from the women's side of things because we've heard so many of these stories back in the day from a lot of the women that were there when it was the skinny mini era. So, yeah, it is definitely obviously a nasty thing. You should not be body shaming anybody. It doesn't matter if that is like not the requirement, but like it's the requirement that's not actually written down that you got to be looking like a certain size. But the interesting, the real interesting part of all this is the bosses. The bosses are body shaming. Now, see, the other women doing that could just be like a competitive thing. That could have just been that maybe, I don't want to say it like this because it sounds so wrong. Maybe some of them just were wording it wrong and they weren't trying to come off like they were trying to shame Cora, but they were trying to let Cora know, like, if you want to be around, you got to look like this. You got to look like that. But I also think it definitely could have just been body shaming in general because we do see a lot of that on the app. Like, we just seen Stephanie Valkyrie basically say something about Charlotte Flair not having any ass at all. And so it's like, there definitely is probably a lot of that going on there. Maybe some people are joking, but, you know, the jokes aren't taken by people. And if you make a joke and it's not taken by somebody, then it's not a joke. I'm sorry to tell you that. But the bosses one is interesting because obviously as a boss, you cannot be telling your coworkers. I mean, you cannot tell your workers what they have to do. I mean, what they have to do, what they have to look like, what they have to, you know, all this. Like there's certain things you can't tell them, and you can't tell them that, oh, you need to have this kind of body. So it's like, I wonder, who are these bosses? Now, everybody is pointing towards Shawn Michaels, and I think that is 100% true. Shawn Michaels, we've been saying it for a minute now about Shawn, about Mr. Shawn, Mr. HBK, Mr. WrestleMania himself, that this man is going to IG and finding all of the thick ones. That's all he's doing. He's scoping out the incoming talent and all that stuff, man. And I wouldn't be surprised if Shawn Michaels is maybe wording it in a very slick way so that he does not get in trouble. Like, I think Shawn Michaels is probably wording it in a way where it's like, it's basically hinting at it, but if she ever tried to like press charges or anything like that, or not press charges, but like sue, she couldn't because he didn't actually say it. I wouldn't be surprised. We know bosses do this all the time. If you've worked in any literal kind of job, you know how bosses are. Like one of my old jobs that I had, they would say like that, like my dress code was just satisfactory, and then someone else's dress code would be like great, and we would literally dress the exact same way. So I'd be like, well, what is it? Is it my hair? Or are you saying because the way my hair is just always out and stuff like that I don't put it up or anything like that I don't put it in a hat? Like, is that what you're saying? Because I remember me and one of my coworkers, when we got our evaluations done, she literally dressed the exact same way as me. And this was a woman boss that that graded both of us on our evaluations, and she never wore her hair in she never wore her hair in a hat at all, and she got excellent for the dress code. My dress code was always satisfactory. I could see something going on that's similar to that over there, like some kind of like evaluation-esque sheets that they might have over there. Maybe like when like they're evaluating their talent and all that stuff, is seeing how they're progressing, that maybe they're finding a way to throw that in without actually throwing it in, and it's being caught by Cora Jade. Now, if that's the case, Shawn Michaels got to get out of here. Shawn Michaels got to get out of here. I'm sorry. I know a lot of y'all love Shawn Michaels. I know y'all love to be Goon XT and all that stuff, but nah, man, Shawn Michaels got to go. That's just wrong in my opinion, and it does make a lot of these firings look a lot more interesting, because a lot of the women that got fired were the very much so skinny minis, or the ones that just didn't have the curves that, you know, apparently TKO and WWE are looking for nowadays. Because if you look at it, I'm not gonna say the women's names, okay? No, that's not even right by me. But you could just see the women that are getting fired and the women that are still staying. I keep saying this multiple times, that how does Nikita Lyons still have a job? The woman is more injury prone than Cora Jade and Dakota Kai. She's older than Cora Jade by like 2-3 years. She's nowhere near as talented as Cora Jade by any means. How the heck does she still have a job, yet Cora Jade doesn't? If it's because of body shaming and it's because they want a certain figure, then Nikita Lyons would fit that figure more than a Cora Jade would. And it's just not right, in my opinion. It's not right at all. Just like this whole strength and conditioning quote-unquote thing, that's very interesting, because there has been a lot of things that have came out when it's come to Cora Jade and her whole conditioning. Honestly, I'm going to give it to Nikita Lyons as well. I'm actually going to defend Nikita Lyons for once, for folks that say I just hate on Nikita Lyons. She's gotten hurt in strength and conditioning sessions. Cora Jade has gotten hurt in strength and conditioning sessions. So we know that WWE be manufacturing who the heck goes where, who gets the pop win and all that stuff, and they don't really want you doing X, Y, and Z without their approval. Is it very possible to make the claim? I mean, is it possible to make the claim that maybe WWE is being a little extra rough with some of these folks, so that they possibly do tweak something so that they're not back for X amount of more months, so that it can align with their schedule? Is it possible that WWE is, you know, doing X, Y, Z to folk, you know, bumping folk extra hard, or being a little extra stiffer during this little, or not bumping them, but like being a little extra aggressive with it during these strength conditioning sessions, so that these women do potentially get hurt, or even these men do potentially get hurt? Because it's interesting for her to throw the strength and conditioning there, unless she's just saying that the strength and conditioning sessions are just, you know, not good by any means, and they're not helpful at all, and it's really just more of a deterrent, or it's just more wear and tear on a lot of these folks' bodies, which is very possible. Because, I mean, wouldn't strength and conditioning align with your training sessions, in my opinion? At least that's what I would personally think, that they would align with each other. So it's like, I mean, I guess they don't technically, because no, you have strength and conditioning as well in like other sports, but you're not really required to do it though. Whenever I play sports, I was never required to do anything like that. Like you could literally just train, and that's the same exact thing. And I don't think, you know, it's going to do that much more for you. I mean, maybe it'll keep you in shape much better than somebody else, but it's like, you know, I mean, I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing of like, you know, they just have like their own strength and conditioning coaches, and they want you to go to them. I know a lot of wrestlers do their own strength and conditioning, or go to their own strength and conditioning sessions. So maybe if you're in NXT, you just can't afford it, and they put you in these, and they're not really the greatest ones. I don't really know. This whole thing it's very, very interesting is all, because like I said, Cora Jade, Nikita Lyons, heck, even Gigi Dolan have all been hurt after they were already recovering. I mean, after they were already hurt and they were recovering while doing a lot of strength and conditioning. So what is actually going on in these strength and conditioning sessions? I don't know. I'm not going to make all kind of crazy speculations, because I don't feel like getting bugged by anybody. I will get bugged by some folk for the Alberto Del Rio and La Hiedra stuff. I will not get bugged by WWE for all this stuff, man. I can't prove any of that. I could prove the other two. I could prove those two were sick signings, and I really do hope that Stephanie Valkyrie does go up to the main roster. It's looking like she might end up going to the main roster. That Jordynne Grace will get the belt from her, just because this whole she has a restraining order against La Hiedra. Okay, so I guess because I'm talking about this now, I can basically say it. WWE, with not only signing AAA, has also extended, or it's a weird thing, but like they've basically taken on the contracts of a lot of these wrestlers who are coming over from AAA, and they've extended some of them. We're not sure if Alberto Del Rio is extended, but we do know that El Hijo de Vikingo, El Hijo de I forgot bro's name, the Dr. Wagner, something like that. I think it's him. La Hiedra and a few others are also extended as well. Obviously, with the La Hiedra lady, I'm actually going to say girl because she immature. With the La Hiedra girl, there's a restraining order from Stephanie Valkyrie against her because the whole situation that happened with Stephanie Valkyrie, where she made the claims, she made the claims that a former worker there had tried to unalive her and all kind of other things, and this lady was harassing her for months upon months, and then she eventually got a restraining order against her and the current AAA tag team champions. I don't know what's going to happen with them either, because their contracts also got extended. So I think Stephanie Valkyrie is probably going to go to the main roster very soon. She also just sent a tweet out that basically said, I'm just going to focus on myself and let karma do its thing. Obviously taking a shot at WWE, in my opinion. I don't think this was a shot at La Hiedra or any of them, because she already took their shots at, because she already took shots at them way long time ago by getting restraining orders and all that stuff. I think this is 100% a shot at WWE. I wonder now, does Stephanie Valkyrie possibly look at WWE in a whole different scope? I hope, honestly, that this, like I said a few episodes ago, that the WWE dream is going to die out for a lot of people, and I think this time period right here is going to be a wake-up call for a lot of these younger wrestlers coming up to the independent scene, a lot of these other wrestlers coming up to the independent scene, that WWE is not going to care about you, especially if you're a woman. They are not going to care. They're going to be like, you know what? We put money first. We don't care about you, Stephanie Valkyrie. Even though we did spend a good amount of money on you, we just don't care about you. Also, they did literally lowball her as well, so there's that. So yeah, no, I hope that this is a very, very good wake-up call for a lot of the women on the roster, that they start, or well, not the women on the roster, well, the women on the roster as well, but like other women on other rosters, that they see maybe WWE isn't the place to go. And I'm not saying AEW. I'm not saying go to AEW, although, I mean, hey, certain folk can't go. But I'm just saying, like, the WWE dream dies out a little bit, so that more of these companies start getting more fleshed out, like a TNA, once Tessa Blanchard released, like a Ring of Honor, like a New Japan, like a Stardom, like a AEW, and any other companies like MLW, GCW, House of Glory, DPW, West Coast Pro Wrestling, MLP, all these other companies can start kind of getting more fleshed out, so that we don't have just one mega company just basically taking all the biggest stars and hoarding them to themselves. But speaking of AEW, let's go ahead and talk about a little bit of AEW. Yeah, Dynamite recap. So we got to start things off by, okay, so with AEW Dynamite, it was a pretty dang big show today, as we had Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page kicking off the show, starting off with the one Hangman Adam Page, talking about like a lot of like his mental well-being in the place that he's been ever since the whole, incidents with Swerve and with Moxley and with with Kenny Omega, just all of them his past, and basically just getting a lot of things off his chest. I think they also really want to do that because it is Men's Mental Health Month. With, hey, to every one of y'all men out there, I definitely hope y'all are doing good. Don't be afraid of therapy, all that stuff. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody, all that. Don't be afraid to even cry either, or go hug your friends. Your male friends, to all the dudes out there too, hug each other, man. Just hug each other. It's cool to hug each other, man. Y'all ain't gotta like not hug each other. Y'all can comfort each other. It's not gay to comfort your best friend or comfort a friend or whatever the heck you call the person. But I think Hangman Page is like a great person to go out there and talk about a lot of these things, because his character does have the biggest reflection of the normal person in society that's done XYZ things, that may have done a few things along their road, and is, suffering from a lot of those things, suffering with the breaking away from a lot of those things, suffering with separating, their old self from their current self, or their self that is trying to better their self. I think Hangman Adam Page is an amazing representation of that. That's why he is one of the faces of AEW today. That's why he's one of the biggest stars in AEW. That's why he's one of the most loved stars in AEW, because he is just a real human being. That's some cowboy shit right there for you. And also Will Ospreay out the hard ass cowboy shit bar. I don't remember exactly, but that promo with him and Hangman was amazing. Don't ever tell me that Will Ospreay can't speak on the mic ever again, by the way. That man is elite on the mic. But obviously Will Ospreay did come out to confront one Hangman Adam Page and said that, you were doing a lot of effed up things, and I had to clean up a lot of your effed up things. I had to be the guy that was really here while, you was doing all this crazy stuff. I was the guy that was holding it down. I was the guy that was trying to protect AEW. I was the guy that was trying to keep AEW a safe place and all that stuff. And Will Ospreay's not wrong by any means. He's definitely, he ain't the most right, though, because he's done some stuff in his past, too, with Kenny Omega, but for the most part, over like the past year or so now, he's done a lot of these things. Like he's, stepped away from potentially going after the AEW World title to deal with the MJF because MJF was acting a fool. He's also gotten involved. Well, he started to get involved in a lot of the Death Rider stuff, but he didn't get fully involved in this. So once again, kind of a hypocrite, Mr. Will Ospreay. But then he got involved in a lot of the Don Callis stuff and trying to put them down. He broke away from them. He had to deal with Kyle Fletcher. He had to deal with somebody else that I can't remember who, but it was somebody else. But he had to, do a lot of the things that maybe Hangman Adam Page should have done while Hangman Adam Page was taking out, mentors and friends and going crazy on Swerve Strickland and all the other people. So he just gave a very passionate promo saying that basically, you're not the only guy around here that is, trying to be a good guy, trying to do the right thing. And I think I think Will Ospreay is kind of starting to break into that mold of being an excellent tweener. He wasn't really, I don't want to say he was playing the heel towards Hangman Adam Page, but he was doing a very good impression of a CM Punk, of a Edge, of a Seth Rollins, where he's just really, kind of bordering that line between face and heel, where he's getting really aggressive with you that a lot of these faces wouldn't do. They would kind of steer away from that and instead, try to be more positive. He was just being more blunt with Hangman Adam Page, and I really love this segment. It was one of my favorite segments of the year. I still have Toni Storm and Mariah May. Well, Toni Storm coming back and returning as Timeless Toni Storm. That was my personal favorite segment. MJF and Hangman Adam Page had an amazing segment as well, and Will Ospreay and Hangman Adam Page too, and a few other ones that were really, really dang good. But this segment, right? Oh, and that Swerve and Moxley one was really dang good as well, especially when he said, are you John Moxley, or are you a guy playing John Moxley, or something like that. So he said something like that. That basically Dean said to John Cena. No, Dean said to Triple H, I think. It might have been Triple H. Or was it John Cena? One of the two. But, just absolutely amazing segment between these two. Here comes Don Callis. Don Callis is then starting to rile up a lot of stuff. Started pointing out a lot of truths about Hangman Adam Page that, Will Ospreay's acting like, that he's got a guy in the ring to protect him, when in reality, Hangman Adam Page could take him out right then and there and have a much easier chance of winning the Owen Hart Cup tournament. Now we're going to be getting a tag match, but it doesn't look like Hangman Adam Page really wants to do the tag match. I think Hangman Adam Page is going to be very conflicted going forward. I think he might even step out of this tag team match. It might be a point where he just hops down and says, you know what, this is not worth it. My job is to go take that dang AEW World Championship, not team up with you against the Don Callis family. I don't care to get involved with these guys. So I could see that happening going forward. And it kind of just goes back into that Hangman Adam Page is a real human being and not some fake wannabe hero that's going to go around trying to play hero. And that's why I really, really, really do like Hangman Adam Page's character. It's such an amazing one, man. When people give Toni Storm credit for her character, which, mind you, I'm not discrediting her character by any means at all, people need to give that same love to Hangman Adam Page's character as well, because his character is just as elite as hers, and he plays it so damn well. Now, obviously, his is over, the course of going through multiple different arcs. Toni Storm didn't really get multiple different arcs. She's kind of always had, a few arcs here and there, but for the most part, she's had her Outcast arc, and then she's had her Timeless Toni Storm arc, but she's always played a character really well, and she is even able to keep the same character for a very, very long time. She's kind of she's kind of changed it up a little bit as of recent, but for the most part, it's still kind of been the same character. Hangman's always been able to have these multiple just different arcs, so just going back and forth between which side of the fence he's on. So I can see a lot happening with this. I can also see MJF costing Will Ospreay because of the fact that MJF is now trying to hurt people. He went out there and he attacked Top Flight, looking like maybe he'll be able to join the Hurt Syndicate now because he took them the hell out. He really showed that old ruthless MJF. And then he also got into the face of Will Ospreay during a little later on in Dynamite, and basically let him know that hey, you're gonna go on to win that title, my title. basically letting him know that this feud will be reignited. I'm assuming that MJF might go after Ospreay next, because I think Bobby Lashley's still going to turn them down to say, that wasn't enough. You hurt two people. Cool. You blindsided them. Go get somebody else now. Go get somebody more important. Go get somebody that you haven't fully taken care of yet. A guy like Hangman Adam Page, a guy like Will Ospreay. I think it's very possible that he might go after Will Ospreay instead of Hangman Adam Page, because of the fact that Hangman has had a much cooler head. He's been able to, have conversations with MJF that didn't turn super violent, even though they had a whole bunch of violence happening before. Will Ospreay is very hot-headed, and when he had his conversation with MJF, it was like he wanted to fight MJF. So I think if anything, I think MJF might cost Will Ospreay, but there is a Don Callis family in play here, because obviously, Josh Alexander is really upset by what happened in the first round. They're obviously also upset by the fact that Konosuke Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher have gone out. Kyle Fletcher was kind of embarrassed by Hangman and Page in that match when he smacked him on the butt and all that stuff. So I think there is a very real possibility that both of these guys actually get taken out. I don't know what happens going forward with the whole Owen Hart Cup tournament, but I think something does happen here. I don't know, or they both go limping into the Owen Hart Cup tournament. It's very possible that as well, or they have to come together to defeat MJF and whoever he is from the Don Callis, like a Kyle Fletcher. I don't know. I think something big does happen here, though. I can't point in the direction of what. It's like, it's so hard to really say what is going to happen, because I don't think Tony Khan's going to want either guy taken out, because you're going to want the Owen Hart Cup finals unless this is all a way to be able to take them out, to be able to set up for Darby Allin to potentially get a spot. Maybe they do like a battle royale, and then they have like a mystery opponent, or like a mystery last entrant, and it's Darby Allin, because he's supposed to be back in June. So if you have Will and you have MJF get taken out, Will and Hangman get taken out, and then you have Darby Allin be the mystery entrant in the Royal Rumble, the Battle Royale, you could have him win the Battle Royale and go on to face one Jon Moxley at All In, so you can finish that story if you really are still content on finishing that story, because then I think Darby Allin could easily drop the title to anybody else. Hangman's going to be really hard to drop that title immediately. I don't think you're going to want to drop it in like 2 to 3 months. I think Darby Allin is fine to drop it within 2 to 3 months, and that way you can get your big-time players back within that world title scene. Obviously, if you put Will or Hangman and Page, you're having one of your big-time players in the world title scene, but you have other storylines that clearly need the world title on them, i.e. an MJF, i.e. a Swerve Strickland. So it's like, where are we going to go from there? I don't really know where we're going to go from there. Wait, hold on. No. I forgot that I have notes written down here about exactly what's going to be happening with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate. And y'all, this is why you make sure you take notes, and you make sure you always look over them, put them in a safe place so that you never forget them. Because I literally just remembered that I had it written down that Cedric Alexander is likely going to be joining one AEW next week, seeing as his contract with WWE is now officially done. His 30-day wait list is going to be done as well. And next week is Beach Breakthrough, so it's going to be a very big moment to be airing one Cedric Alexander. Obviously, he's going to be the 4th member of Hurt Syndicate. I don't know why I kept throwing all these theories around for so long. I honestly didn't think that Cedric Alexander was ever going to leave WWE. I thought he'd be a guy that would stick around for a long time. But as he had told Chris Van Vliet that he would love to work with his guys, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. They all said that they want to work with him again as well, because they want to get back the original Hurt Syndicate, and not just this version without Cedric, because Cedric is the 4th guy. So I think what MJF is going to happen is, I think he joins FTR and Stokely, not necessarily as a faction, more so just, one individual and 2 individuals who are having separate goals but could easily help each other out, because FTR wants to once again prove to everybody that they are the top tag team in the world, and to do that, they're going to be going against the Hurt Syndicate. Now, obviously, if they get Cedric Alexander back, that's going to be very hard for FTR to get those titles from one Hurt Syndicate, because it's going to be 2 against 3, and let's be real, Stokely Hathaway is not going to really be much help against MVP. And if MJF wants to get to the world title scene, he's going to need other guys around him, because you look at it right now, the Death Riders got the belts. MJF can't go against the Death Riders on himself. That would just be a suicide mission. So that's why MJF was trying to get with the Hurt Syndicate. Now I think though Stokely Hathaway is going to see what's happening with MJF, and he's going to get MJF to come with him and FTR. That way they can scratch each other's backs. MJF will be able to help them eventually get the AEW World Tag Team titles, and they'll be able to help MJF get the eventual AEW World Championship when the time is right. Because I don't think Stokely Hathaway is going to have MJ, or is gonna, tell MJF, hey, go get it now just because you have FTR with you. Nah, let's wait things out. Let's see who gets the belt in the future. I think that it's probably gonna be waiting until Jon Moxley does drop the belt, either to an Hangman Adam Page or Will Ospreay or Darby Allin, because then those guys will be by themselves. While yes, one-on-one, MJF could give any of those guys a run for their money, heck, even beat them. He's already lost to 2 of the 3 guys, so he's going to need some kind of help to assure that he gets the victory. FTR would be able to do so. But honestly, though, when I look at MJF in this whole entire Hurt Syndicate saga, I think that this has actually helped out MJF a lot more than people realize, because everybody's been saying for like the past year now that MJF's character has just gone so down the hill, or so down the drain, ever since losing his AEW World Championship. I now challenge that. I think MJF has had an amazing character development, very similar to one Hangman Adam Page and Tony Storm. I think that, he had this very ruthless, aggressive side to him when he was the AEW World Champion. He was willing to do whatever it took to retain those belts. Even when he eventually did get the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships alongside one Adam Cole, he was willing to do whatever it took, even if that meant going out there being injured. And now MJF is getting back to that side. He's been trying to do everything he could to join the Hurt Syndicate. Heck, it even got to a point where he took out Top Flight, that I think now he's starting to get back to that side as well, that do whatever you can to attain your goals. And Stokely is going to instill that into him. He's going to remind him of exactly who he was in a way that MVP could not. So I do believe that MJF, while he's not going to be able to get with the Hurt Syndicate, because obviously Cedric Alexander would get with them, he's going to be fine. He's going to get with a new group, and I think this group is going to be much better for him, because of the fact that if you look at the Hurt Syndicate, if you were to add Cedric Alexander as well, and it'd be Cedric and MJF and Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin, these are 4 guys that could all easily get the AEW World Championship, especially if Cedric Alexander is built up properly, because we know this guy is an amazing wrestler. Shelton Benjamin wants the AEW World Championship in the future. He said that he's not going to just write it off like as if he won't get one. Bobby Lashley obviously also wants to get one last run as well. I mean, not one last run, but he wants to get, one last run with a world title as well. I guarantee Cedric Alexander is not going to AEW just to work with the Hurt Syndicate again. He's only like 35, 36 years old. He still has a good 4 or 5 years at the level he is right now. So he's going to want to possibly get that AEW World Championship. And MJF wants to get his triple beam back. So it's like you're going to start competing, stepping on toes, and it's the exact same thing that went wrong for Stokely when he had, what's their names? I'm blanking on names. Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, is that they were both going for the TBS World title, and he wasn't able to manage that properly. He should have had one of them going for the World title and one of them going for the TBS title, but it didn't happen. It started stepping on toes, and what happened? Sides started getting picked, lines were drawn, and boom, the whole group broke up within like a couple of months because of the fact that Chris Statlander got greedy, and Willow Nightingale went and won a number 1 contenders fatal 4-way match. Also, speaking of Chris Statlander and Willow Nightingale, I really do hope that we get a best of 7 with these 2 women. I think it's going to be best for them because you're not really doing much with them. Mind you, they are going to be facing off on Collision tonight. I'm pretty sure it should be aired. This should be aired before Collision does start. And I don't think one match is going to do it. I know that they don't really have much to do with these 2 women going forward. You really don't have anything for the TBS title scene or the world title scene. You're probably not putting Mercedes Moné in any eliminator matches because she's going to be busy with Jamie Hayter now. You might put them against Tony Storm, but I think these women should go in the best of 7 and do what WWE should have done, which is give us a great best of 7 that we haven't had in a long time, akin to one Cesaro and Sheamus. And just like those 2 guys, I think after this 7th match, this is when Krillo did I just accidentally create their name? Ooh, Krillo. Nah, but wait, Krillin? They could be. Wait, Chris Statlander, Willow Nightingale. They could be. Hey, man, they both got the N in their name somewhere. And, Willow Nightingale is an N. Shout out to my dog, Willow Nightingale, man. But, no, I think that when these two finish up their best of 7 series, they could easily come together and form a tag team and be the inaugural women's tag team champions if they do decide to go this way. Obviously, you have Kaden and Katana now going to Stardom, so they'll be able to be available to have any kind of tag team matches against this group as well, because Stardom has a working relationship with one AEW. You have Isla Dawn out there, Blair Davenport out there, Cora Jade out there, Dakota Kai out there. So if you want to get any of these women, you have Shayna Baszler as well, Gigi Dolan, Shotzi. If you want to grab any of these women thrown for a tag team, you can. You would also have the likes of a Mina Shirakawa. Maybe you get Mariah May back. Maybe Mariah May sees how AEW is going right now and looks at Stephanie Valkyrie's situation, is like, yeah, no, I'm not going to go through that. So she decides to go back to AEW. Now you have Mariah May and Mina Shirakawa maybe. We have Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. We have Mercedes Moné that could eventually be with Harley. I was about to say Harley Cameron. Wait, no, is it? Actually, it's Harley Cameron. Yeah, it's Harley Cameron. I was about to say Harley Quinn. You have those two. Maybe Athena can get a Minions group, like an actual Minions tag team going. You could have, I'm blanking on some women that are tag teams. Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. You have Deonna Purrazzo and I think Taya Mello, something like that. Taya Mello. My eye. One of the two. So you have plenty of women's tag teams floating around. You could even grab some of your older women that you're not using as much anymore, like Hikaru Shida, Rio, Nyla Rose. If Britt Baker's going to stay around, you can grab Britt Baker. You can throw all these women into your tag division. So I think that they would actually have a lot there for their women's tag division, that it would be pretty dang solid. It would be a lot of, fluctuating teams and all that. And if you don't run these women's tag teams dry within 2-3 months, you just have them facing different tag teams every single week, I think it would be great for the tag division. You're building up great rivalries. I think if you're going to do that, though, you probably want to push them on over to Collision a lot more than AEW, or at least having them on Ring of Honor as well, so that things aren't getting too dry by any means. And the Ring of Honor does have a lot of women that could also be in the tag team division as well. So yeah, no, I think that I would love to see Willow Nightingale, Chris Statlander get them a best of 7. Again, they're not doing anything. You might as well do something with them for the next couple of weeks. You can have the 7th match be before All In, maybe like a week or two before All In. Maybe even like 3 weeks before All In, and then they start setting up like a tag team tournament, because they announced the inaugural tag team champions will be crowned at one All In. Willow and Chris both want this after everything they've been through. That would be absolutely phenomenal, in my opinion. And speaking of someone that could be in this match, Mercedes Moné, because obviously she could tag with Harley Cameron in the future. Mercedes Moné and Jamie Hayter, they were squabbling. Yeah, they was throwing hands and feet and a whole lot of other things. They were just throwing stuff, man. But they're definitely setting up for a really good match, really good feud going into Double or Nothing. I think this is going to be best for business because of the fact that WWE does look like they're setting up for a really, really big Saturday Night's Main Event. You're going to want to have as great as possible storylines going into Double or Nothing so that you can keep the fan retention. This really does feel like my GM mode now. I'm not even going to lie to you. Let me get in it. Tony Khan, hit me up. I got you with the Ring of Honor, man. You should go see my Let's Play of my GM. Hey, you got a Slim Jim ad? You ain't got a Slim Jim ad? Go get a Yellowstone ad. Yellowstone beef jerky is really, really good too, man. I think go hard. I ain't even going to lie to you. So yeah, no, I got you, Tony. I got you, Tony. Don't even worry about that. But no, I think you're gonna want to set up as amazing as possible storylines going into Double or Nothing, so that you do keep that fan retention, because you're gonna want to have fans be invested as possible, especially if we are getting these super big matches at one Saturday Night's Main Event. Obviously, like I said, I will be watching both Saturday Night's Main Event and Double or Nothing. Already got to pay for and all that stuff, but I'm probably one of the few people that's going to be watching both, and I might even have one on like my PC while I'm live and then watching the other one. So I'm going to be having a lot of things going on when that does happen. So yeah, you're going to want to keep as much fan retention rate as possible. But that's going to be it from me, though, y'all. I definitely hope y'all did enjoy this episode. As always, if you did, whether you're on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you get your dang podcast at, make sure you're hitting that like, the follow, the rate, the share, the sub, all that great stuff, the notification bell that they got them on that thing, so you can be notified when episodes do drop. But for now, not do drop. Shout out to do drop. But for now, y'all, that's going to be it from me. I'm out. Y'all have a great one. Good night. Yeah.